that's the recording in progress, just for a bit of housekeeping, so you know. We do get a lot of questions and queries around how to do the practical side of the uploads, the technical itty-bitty, how do we put our invoices up, etc. So that's why we've decided to host this webinar, where we hope we'll answer all your questions. So just a bit of housekeeping. The purpose of it is to guide you through the financial claims process. So this is really the elements where you've got your invoices, you've got your quotes. What do you do with them next? How do you get them to us? How do we get them verified? How to draw down the next stage of your claim, etc., etc. So I'm going to have a request that you wait until the end of the presentation that I'm about to give to ask any questions when there'll be a Q&A. Now you can put those in the Q&A function. However, during the presentation, you're more than welcome, if you've anything burning or anything that pops up as we go along, you pop that into the Q&A, but we won't be actually addressing it until after I've stopped speaking at the end. And then we'll come to each in turn, and there may be some, shared themes or queries as well. So I've also let you know that it's being recorded and it will be uploaded on our YouTube channel after this event. I am Orla McGrady. I am Senior Grants Officer for Keep Northern Ireland Beautiful. And I'd like to also welcome my two Grants Officers colleagues, and that is Sandra Moore and also Anne Malloy, who I'm sure some, if not many of you, have been in touch with up until now, and certainly will be in the coming five months as we finish off your project and your grant. So it's just good for you to be able to put faces to names as well if you haven't spoken to us already. So starting from the start, basically, I'm going to go really basic. You've got your grant. So what do? You log into your Live Here, Love Here profile, which I really hope that you all know how to do and have done. If you've done your application, you will have. So this is a screenshot of the page. So you should have your username and you should have your password, and you should be able to log in and access your profile there. So once you've done that, you'll get a variety of information within your profile, and there should be school pollinator grant applications. That is the option that you need to click into, and that is where your information is all held, the details of your grant, your budget, etc. And also that's where you'll be doing your uploads for your financial claim. So as an overview, there are 3 stages of the grant claim. So as we hope you all know by now, 50% upfront. I know there are some people that still haven't claimed the 50%, and we would urge you to do so as soon as possible. We're just very keen to get that out and get the project. We would expect the projects to be fairly well underway at this stage. So that's why we're very keen to get that money out and get that cash flow going for you. The next stage is 30% after you've spent the first 50%. And then the final is 20% on project completion. Now, I'll talk a little bit more to that in a moment, but that's the general structure that you will have seen in your letter of offer and your terms and conditions. So with regard to the 50% upfront payment, this may not be relevant to some of you, but just to go over that again, you must fill out your BACS details, to fill in all relevant bank details for us to access to make you that payment. You then, and this is really important, must email schoolpollinatorgrants@liveherelovehere.org to request that payment. We don't have an automated system that lets us know through your profile that you've made a change or you've uploaded something. You need to actively get in touch with us to let us know that you've done that, to alert us to the fact that you're awaiting payment. It's not, as I say, an automated system at the moment. You'll see here, this is a screenshot of where you do that, and I've highlighted here, you've got your little BACS details down along the bottom here. Okay, so the next element you can get is your 30% after your first 50% is spent. Only then we need to see evidence that you've spent all the money that we've already given you before we're able to release any more. So to do that, we need you to upload evidence of your first 50%. And then you must email us to advise that you have done that, and then we will know to go in and verify that. Grants team will advise you if we require any further information to release the next 30%. So once you've done that, and once you've told us, look, I've put all my invoices in, I've put all my evidence there, can you verify and release the next 30? We will then look at that, we will verify that, and we will come back to you if something's not quite right, or if there's an issue or a query, or we will verify it if it's perfect. And I hope it's perfect, but let's just see. And I've said here, please allow 2 weeks turnaround. We're a tiny team. There's really just the 3 of us that you're seeing here. We've got a caseload of around 150 grants per person within the team. So we would ask for your patience as we work through the information as it comes through. The other point I would make is that I would encourage you, and I'll talk to this a little later in the presentation, we would really, really encourage you to start uploading as soon as possible, because the sooner you start doing it, the sooner we can kind of timeline in getting that done and getting things moving rather than waiting for everything until the end. So your final percentage is your 20%, and generally this is released on the completion of your project. Now there is a small caveat here, but generally once you've uploaded the majority of the information for your project, or indeed all of it, we would look at that and we would release your final 20% and ask you to complete a grant completion form, which would, you know, that kind of closes it all off, and we close off your grant. However, we have been receiving queries from people around cash flow issues, and we are you know, sensitive to that. And we do appreciate that people might not just quite have that final 20%. If that's the case, in special circumstances, we will consider release of the 20% prior to you completing your project to assist you with cash flow. But I would like to emphasize that's not really the norm. We would generally require that you have your photos to us. We have the post-project event, and then we'll give you your 20%. But discuss it with your grants officer and let us know if you're having any issues or concerns around reaching the end of your project spend. Okay, so I'm just going to come on to some practical things, and this is where you're going to need to put your concentrating caps on. Don't worry, you can watch this back. There's also a video that we've done, a little video that has been shared around to kind of take you through how to do things. But I just want to take you through the process of how you physically upload to Data Hub, and hopefully, I know some of you out there are probably complete pros at it, but this is for everyone, and hopefully we'll cover off any queries and questions that we find that people have been encountering. So the first thing is, how do I upload evidence? So you must upload all of the following information onto your profile on the Live Here, Love Here website. And it's quotations for procurement, and it says in brackets if required. So you'll know if you read your letter of offer, and the terms and conditions of procurement is detailed there. I've got it in another slide, but you'll be able to go through and see some things require procurement, some things don't. So if required, a quote goes in. Copies of invoices or receipts for each item purchased. So this is really important. And a copy of a proof of payment for each item purchased. And again, absolutely crucial. We've been getting some people uploading and not putting in a bank statement, or not putting in evidence that they've actually paid for the item, and we need to keep going back and saying, please upload a bank statement. Whereas, you know, so it's very, very important that you hit all of these stages when you're putting your information and your paperwork in. And you may not have your bank statement yet. That's absolutely fine. You can wait until you get it, or you can do your online banking and take a screenshot. As long as we've got proof that it's gone out of the bank, that's what we need. So here's your screen. So you'll see it when you go into your profile, and on your main page, you'll see just underneath where there's your project code, a little description of your project. You'll see this screen, hopefully, and it will give you items purchased and proof of expenditure with a little button to add new item. So this is just so you can see how it looks when you go in there. There's a slide, a couple of more slides where I'll do the practicalities of it, but you choose your file, and then when you go in here, you so say choose your file, and it'll give you the option of a drop down to whether it's an invoice, a quote, or a statement, and that's your type. And then you just hit upload, which is this little button here. I probably should have circled that, but I didn't. So you must hit that little upload button, and then that will come up, and you'll see that listed in an upload. And in a later slide, you'll be able to see that clearly. So moving on, this is kind of how we're illustrating how you do that upload, really, because it's difficult to do because I can't do it live on Data Hub. So for example, if you've been awarded plants, which you hopefully have, and your budget said that you had £750 towards plants. So the breakdown would be, you would upload plants and you would put in the value and then click upload evidence, and then you click what you've got here. So you are going to need a quote, because we know that procurement requires anything over £500 requires procurement. So we're going to need a quote here. We're also going to need your invoice. So your invoice will hopefully be fully detailing whoever your supplier was, the details of all the plants you bought. And then you'll need your proof of expenditure, will be by and large your bank statement or the evidence that you paid a supplier £750. And hopefully it has to match. So the proof of expenditure has to match the invoice. And we'll be really happy and we'll approve all of that. And then the statement, which is the statement column at the end, this is really for you to add any notes or comments or statements. It's not for your bank statements. So your bank statements are always uploaded under proof of expenditure. Your statement at the end is if you want to advise us of anything. And for example, that could be there was only one person in the world that provided this particular item that I needed, so I had to buy it. So we do offer sole supplier status. If you've had an issue with procurement, talk to us, things like that. So it's just a statement so that we know. And we've had other ones like I've paid the supplier, but I haven't got my bank statement yet. Or it just keeps us abreast of what you've done. So that's what that column's for. And as I say, we do accept sole supplier status if there is only one person in the world that supplies a certain item. And it can relate to your procurement issues and your tender issues as well. Okay, so just keep us notified. Always keep us notified. So running down this, you'll see we've broken it down. So this is an example: raised beds and membrane liners. So that's coming at 350. Same structure. Click upload evidence. Put in your invoice. Put in your bank statement, which is your proof of expenditure, or if you've paid it through debit card or credit card, you can also use like a debit or credit card receipt as well, as long as that goes up there. And then what we do when we see this, when we log into your profile, is that we can go along, see that everything matches and tick it off. It just has to make logical sense to us as we go across. Hand tools, chair and stools. I do fully appreciate that this is quite a clean example, and we're more than happy at the end to, clarify any questions around, because I know some people have had issues around how to do those uploads, but by and large, we would encourage you to work around the items that you've been, granted in your budget. It has to be clear to us that what you've bought, this is there's a logical trail from, what you were granted to what you've bought, what you've paid out. So that we can see that in a clear line. So scan or photocopy the invoice, quotation, bank statement, etc. onto your PC and then upload them. They need to be legible or they won't be approved. And by that we mean we've received evidence in the past where you just can't read it. You can't read the bank statement. You can't, it's blurry or it's really badly captured. We'll come straight back to you on that and say, look, we have to be able to see. We've also received receipts with, really, really faint copy that we can't make out. So it's really important that your evidence is legible to us and that we're able, because if you can't read it, we can't read it. And we really need to be able to read it to approve it and sign it off for you. And another important thing to note is that we as the grants team are unable to make any of these changes for you. You need to do this yourself. So when you're in your profile and doing your uploads, this is all your part of the work. This is what you do. We're not able to do that on your behalf. We can't access your profile per se. So we would expect you to be able to do all that yourself, and we're unable to go in and change things about for you. So just to make a note of that. So this was a bit about procurement. All of this you will find in your letter of offer and terms and conditions, but it's always good to have a timely reminder. What do I upload? You upload your quotes. So no quotes are required for individual items under £500. So you're buying a wheelbarrow at, I don't know how much they are, but say a wheelbarrow was £120. We would expect to see your invoice and your receipt for the wheelbarrow. 2 written quotes for items between 500 and 5,000. verbal aren't accepted. So this has to be something, it has to be an email, it has to be a headed paper quote, it has to be something that evidences that you've sought best value for money on your item that you're purchasing. It could be from a website, for example, to quote, it could be from B&Q or Homebase, but it just needs to be something to show that you have procured and you've done your homework and you haven't just went out and bought the first thing you've seen with the money. And we're subject to all of this from DARA. As you know, these are DARA funded grants, and we are subject to all of these procurement requirements. So it's really important that we're able to evidence that back. Tender process is required for individuals or items or services of 5,000 or over. We've already assisted some people with that. I know some people have questioned, how do you tender? It's really a case of writing up your specification of what you need and going out and approaching your suppliers about who might be able to do the work for you. And we would expect to see those responses uploaded in the system. We're very well aware that there are some suppliers out there that can come in and deliver it all for you. Absolutely brilliant if that's the case, but we do need to see evidence that you sought competitive pricing and competitive quotes as well. The only exception to this, as I'm sure most of you have been notified, hopefully, is that if you're using the Education Authority, you're not required to go through that tender process. If they are your suppliers, we will accept that they are your suppliers. Okay, so the next one is you must enter each item. Now, this one was a good one. My lovely colleague, Sandra, ensured that we had this in. You must enter each item you've purchased as per the grant letter of offer. And I think this has caused people some confusion. So if you put in, as you go along, as we said in the previous slide, you put in your plants, 750. You put in your raised bed and your membrane lining, 383.50. You break it down and put it, so you know, but if it differs greatly from your letter of offer, we would still expect to see it grouped in this way. We wouldn't expect to see, you know, a pair of gloves, 10, you know, we wouldn't expect to see 50 individual receipts all listed separately. So we would like to see things grouped. So all your plants grouped under a header, your hand tools grouped under a header, and the evidence subsequently uploaded. Because we don't, you know, it can be very onerous. In the past, I've verified claims that have had up to 100 lines entered, and that's just, it's very, very unwieldy and practically unmanageable. So if you're in any doubt at all, get in touch with your grants officer about the best way to kind of group things. But we would always say, look at your letter of offer, look at your budget. It should be in headers, and we would expect to see the evidence against those headers. The other thing then to be uploaded is invoices. So invoices / receipts. And when I say receipts, if you pay for something by card, so if you go into a DIY store, you go into Homebase or whatever, and you make a debit card payment, it says clearly on that payment has been made. That's accepted as we don't expect an invoice. That's what we would use as a receipt. So we're more than happy to accept that. So we don't need invoices for absolutely everything. We accept debit card and credit card receipts as well. But to back that up, we do need evidence of payment. So to back those up, we do need a bank or an online statement showing that that money has gone out off the account to the people that it says that it has. So as you'll see here, a bank or an online statement showing the amount paid corresponding to the invoice, or a card receipt showing item, amount paid, and date corresponding to invoice. Okay, and there's a nice wee picture for you there. So this one's a really important one, and Sandra and I have talked about this. We have found ourselves receiving some evidence that is just one item that's super, super general. And this, you will see, we've made an example. It just says, for the garden at the above site, brown prep and liver, 12,000 inclusive of that. Not acceptable. Not acceptable. We need to see a breakdown. We need to see a really clear breakdown of what you've got quotes for. £12,000. There's bound to be a lot more within that than just brown preparations and labour. So we need to see everything within that that you have procured. So we will immediately reject something as general and non-specific as this. It's not enough for us to be able to comfortably verify on. Any questions, again, just do ask your grants officer, even to run their eye over it before you upload it. Okay, so finally, if you don't have anything, so say you don't have a quote, an invoice, a proof of payment for an item, use the statement field to tell us why. So, for example, as I mentioned earlier, not everybody supplies the same. You know, it might be really hard for you to get a second supplier to quote you something. We're not going to, you know, say, sorry, you can't have it. Just give us an explanation and use that under the statement field as to why your rationale for using that supplier, and that should be absolutely adequate. So again, we've put a note, this option isn't for bank statements, they're for evidence of expenditure. So as I say, use the statement field to tell us something. If you don't have something, tell us why, and then we'll be able to assess based on that. Okay, so here's the fun bit that I talk about little clouds and little egg timers and little ticks, etc., etc. So this is really just a very, very basic. When you're uploading, this is how it should look. Okay, when you've gone in and you've clicked your meadow seed and you've clicked your amount, or you've entered your amount to 5385. You've clicked your upload evidence and you've gone along and you've put in your evidence. What will happen is that a little, that's probably there is the best way. I can show you here for right. I'm going to use this for picnic tables actually. Picnic tables, right? This person has put in picnic tables at 141960, and they've put in only a proof of expenditure, and they've come to us and asked us to verify. Now, the fact that it's sitting with a little cloud, you'll see it here, there's a little cloud, we can't verify that, it's not complete. Awaiting evidence, you'll see here, awaiting evidence, awaiting evidence, awaiting evidence. Anything that says awaiting evidence, we can't verify. So we'll just bounce straight back to you and go, I'm sorry, that's not complete. Can you please put in everything that's needed? And we will put it straight back to you, and we won't really have the time, you know, so it's really pleading with you to just really take care when you're doing your uploads and make sure that these are right, so it'll save time for everybody. From past experience, it can be quite painful. This is how it should look. When you've done your picnic tables correctly, so you've done your picnic tables, you've done 141960, you've put your invoice in, you've put your proofs of expenditure in, which is, I assume in this case, it'll be evidence that we need. The little egg timer will come up. Once that little egg timer is there, that's when we can go in and verify. And so you know it's awaiting approval. So if you read it there, it says awaiting approval. Above that, you'll see on the meadow seed, we've already approved that. So once I go in and do the picnic tables and I'm happy, I'll hit approved. And when you go back into your account, you'll see a little tick. That'll have turned into a little tick beside picnic tables if we've approved it. So I hope that makes sense. Cloud, no, you've more to do. Egg timer, or sorry, yeah, Cloud, you've more to do. Egg timer, you've done it. Thank you. We now can verify. However, it still mightn't be right. You know, depends on what you've uploaded. So we have to verify then what you've uploaded, and it may not still be right, but at least we're at a point where we can go in and we can verify it. We can't verify it when it still says awaiting evidence. So that's hopefully clear. And then there's a summary. Cloud, if the evidence is uploaded incorrectly. Egg timer, awaiting approval by the grants officer, and awaiting evidence, something else needs to be uploaded, please check. And that's on you. So I need you to go through your own paperwork and see if you've missed something. When do I upload? So you can upload your evidence to your profile at any time. We really encourage you to do this as you go along to save a mountain of paperwork at the end, because from previous experience, this can be quite challenging. It doesn't necessarily mean that we'll suddenly be needing to verify the minute you upload, but the sooner it's in there, the better. The sooner it's there, it'll just sit there, it'll be contained in there. And as you go, so say you make a purchase this week, I would be really happy if you made a purchase and then went on and did your upload for that purchase. It doesn't necessarily follow that we have to immediately verify and approve that. It just means it's on there and it's in the system and it's ready for us to verify when the time comes. Rather than leave everything to the end. I've had experience in the past where, you know, as we approach the end date for financial claim, it can get quite chaotic and things can get lost and then the system crashes and it can all be really stressful. So please, as you go along, for everybody's sake, it would be fab if you could just upload as you go along your purchases, or take, I don't know, half an hour out of your day at some point and do them all in a wee bunch or something. And it means they're all sitting there and they're not going anywhere. And then whenever we come around to verifying, they'll be there and done. So I've said that already about the system failure, and that has happened. It has happened, and we can't accept responsibility for evidence not submitted by the deadline. You know, if you're coming to us on the 27th of February saying the system's just crashed, I can't get everything on, or the 27th, 28th, we're likely to be unsympathetic because there's loads of time now to get your uploads on there. You can be doing it as you go along. And if you leave it to, you know, 12 o'clock on the 27th of February, we'll probably be a wee bit less sympathetic. So if you encounter any technical problems, so please do bear that in mind. Submitting the claim, you'll only submit the claim and you only click it once you're sure all your evidence is uploaded correctly. So that's not something I want you to worry about too much at this stage. This is something that we'll be looking at probably more toward the end. And that's, again, not something that's very important at this stage. At this stage, it's about getting all your information up there. It's about us verifying, it's having that dialogue, and then we'll be able to kind of close off your grant. So don't worry too much. You will be emailed in, and this is kind of afterwards, you'll be emailed to advise payment has been requisitioned or more if more information is needed. Said it again, please allow plenty of time to upload your documents by the claim deadline. And I won't be able to say that enough, to be honest with you, from past experience. Just please really do take note of that. Claim deadline, I don't know why it keeps flashing like this, but it does. 27th of February, 2023. There will be no extensions. Now, just to make this really clear, this is your financial claim deadline. It's not your absolute ultimate, my project must be over by midnight on the 27th of February. This is for all paperwork pertaining to the grant that we gave you to be uploaded to the system. There won't be any extensions after that. Once we hit the 1st of March, or whatever date it is after the 27th of February, we will be starting to do all of our verifications and closing everything off, and we won't be, so the system won't be accepting any more uploads. So if you haven't got it uploaded, unfortunately, you're going to lose that element of your grant. However, that said, we don't expect your project, we don't expect the seed to be in the ground. We don't expect the, you know, all the plants to be planted and everything sitting pristine and ready. And I just wanted to make that clear because that is a question that we get quite a lot. So just to ease a bit of your concerns around that, as long as you've spent everything and got everything ready, even if the ground's prepped and ready to go and you want to put your seeds in at a more appropriate time, which would not be February, it would be March, then obviously we're more than happy to give you that flexibility. This is for the financial elements of your grant, and I hope that's really clear. And as I say, we can kind of answer any further questions around that, and you can always talk to your grants officer as well. But just to let you know that we're not expecting to be looking at a finished, polished project on the 27th of February, although we hope that you are moving along, but we are very mindful of working with the seasons as well and the challenges that might bring. But in terms of procurement, purchases, suppliers, payments, all needs to be done by the 27th of February. So that's the end of me talking. So if you have any questions, as I've said, please use Q&A. I've noticed a couple of things might have started to come in. So maybe we'll just move on to that element, and I'll just hit. And Sandra, is there questions coming in?
Yes. David would like to know, hi, Would the one proof of expenditure cover multiple items, or do you need to pay for each individually, even if they're from the same company?
No. What if I'm hearing that correctly? If you're buying 20 pairs of gloves from one supplier, one proof of expenditure is enough. You don't need 20 separate proofs of expenditure. Am I correct? Have I read that right?
Yeah. However, I suppose if you're using one supplier and the total value of items or services is more than £500, then you would need 2 quotes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So hopefully that answers your question, David. And someone has asked, could you run through how to upload once more? Although this is being recorded, and you will be able to send out a link for YouTube to all grant recipients, and you'll be able to see Orla's presentation again.
Absolutely. Just watch this back and watch it back again. And also there's a little video that we circulated. If you haven't got that, do let me know. I'm also conscious that some people don't seem to be getting our emails, and we have had a few issues around that. I'm not sure why, whether they're going into spam folders or whatever's happening. So do reach out to us if you haven't. I did send out a couple of emails, and one of them did contain quite a comprehensive how to upload your financial claim, and also like a little video as well. It was only when lots of queries started through, we thought, right, it would be really good to do like a collective webinar where we try and address all the questions together, because we are dealing with over 300 particular projects here. So it's hard to kind of address things on a one-to-one. But if you're struggling with the uploads, do come back to us. We'll not see you stuck, but hopefully there's enough information being provided for you to get on with it there.
Okay, fine. And Hazel wants to know, where do you put the request for revision document? The change control document.
Change control comes to us directly, so that is emailed to your grants officer.
Okay, hopefully that answers your question there, Hazel. And Joanne would like to know, if you pay by cheque, how do you show the evidence?
Okay, it has to be cleared from the bank account. So we don't accept cheque stubs or written cheques as evidence. It has to be cash. It has to have cleared out of the bank account. So the only way that we will accept that item has been paid for is if we see the cheque leaving the account to the supplier that it was written to.
Okay, so those are all of the typed questions. Maybe do you want to open it up?
I'm just looking.
Oh, maybe there's some more. There's
some more coming through there.
Yes, there's some more coming through. Fine.
We buy the plants by February. How does it work? Yeah, I've addressed that, Ethna. So
okay,
I've addressed that, but I'm going to address it again for you. We're not expecting you to put the plants in the ground when it's not suitable to put plants in the ground. So hopefully that answers your question. I see that you actually posted that maybe earlier on before I was speaking, but let us know if we haven't answered that for you. But I think I've already covered that off. Yeah, is there any flexibility?
Sorry, I've been getting a lot of queries about prepayments. Is it okay for people to prepay before the 27th of February and then put the seeds in later?
That's an arrangement between them and their supplier, absolutely, if they're happy to do that. But we need to see evidence that the payment has been made to the supplier, and then that becomes their relationship, their arrangement with their supplier. Is there any flexibility in the total budget provided? I have expenditure slightly over. If the expenditure is slightly over what we received in our letter of offer, is this acceptable? Well, we won't be able to pay back on that, Katie. So all we can offer you is the exact amount of the award that you were granted. So if you've overspent, that would have to come out of your own funds, if that makes sense. We can't allocate more money to you past what we've put in the letter of offer. I hope that clears that up. We are flexible across headings, which I hope most people know about, because we have discussed this and there has been emails. We can, if you find that you've maybe a slight underspend in one area and you want to maybe reallocate that across, that's absolutely fine. And that's where the change control document comes in. But if you've spent more than what we've awarded you, that we won't be able to reimburse you for that.
Yeah. And
I would love that video. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, just to be clear that you cannot transfer large amounts from one area of the grant from one item to the other. You know, you can't suddenly change £1,000 that we have awarded on pollinator flowers to, you know, just say we'll put 250 into pollinator flowers and 750 into a pathway or something. You know, there needs to be discussion.
Absolutely. I mean, we don't want you moving too far away from the parameters of the original grant. Now, we do fully appreciate that there have been some changes. We've been dealing with a lot of requests for change, and we're trying to be flexible, but there's only so far that we can go with that, because ultimately the requirements of the grant are the requirements of the grant. It's biodiversity, it's pollinators, it's educational, it's enabling people to engage with learning about pollinators. So, you know, capital items, while they are on there and while we are open to them, you know, there has to be a beneficial element to biodiversity and a strong biodiversity element to your project. So if you're coming back to us and things have changed completely, then we do have to have a really proper conversation around that. You know, we'll try and be supportive and as flexible as we can, but we have to work within the requirements of the grant, what the grant's for. Essentially, there are other funds out there that you can get for capital equipment, etc., etc. But, you know, we need to work within the parameters of this particular award and what it's specifically for, benefiting pollinators and also communities and people who can access those spaces and work with pollinators as well. So reading on down, I would love that video email, not a bother. That is absolutely fine, Michael. We will be getting, what we're going to do after this is again send out a circular email, and I'm going to say to you that will be with you by Friday. Okay, so if you haven't heard from us by Friday, please get in touch, because there's no real way of us knowing if you're getting our emails or not. So I'm not sure if there's a spam issue or if something's happening. So by Friday, if you haven't received a link to this on our YouTube channel, as well as the other documents that I've mentioned, do come back to us, get back in touch with us and say, have you done that? You know, where are they? Because there's a chance our emails aren't getting through to you, because Michael, we've sent it out a couple of times now. So it just went lost in translation, but just we need to be sure that we're communicating, and we don't know what you're getting once it leaves us. Okay, if I purchased tools and plants from one company and it's all on one receipt, is this okay? Yes, it is. It is okay, but because you're paying one company over £500, there's no name on this, but it's Carntal. We would need, because you're paying one supplier over £500, we actually would need a second evidence for that. So I don't know, even if you wanted to go online and price up what the same purchase would be from a different supplier, but because you're paying one supplier more than £500 for procurement, we would expect to see some price comparison there. Anonymous, if items have increased in price, as long as the total project value doesn't change, is this okay? Yeah, so we've talked about that, absolutely. We're flexible to that within reason. There is a change control document that hopefully you've got. If you don't, it'll be attached and sent out subsequent to this. And that's where we were discussing that, yes, we can be flexible. We totally understand. We know the price of wood went through the roof, and we know that a lot of people are having problems there. Talk to us, have a discussion with us, but it needs to be agreed by us before you proceed. And then you'll need to submit that change control document just so we can keep a track of everything, and that we know that by and large the project's still in line. But that's the answer to that one. Hopefully that answers your question. But do talk to your grants officer before you make any changes around, you know, price increases and things like that. We've ordered items through the EA clearly marked as pollinator grant. What is an acceptable proof of payment? Yep. Okay. Really, really good question. Do you have an procurement document? Because we do accept that. So you should have an procurement document supplied by the EA that you can upload, that we can see evidence that has happened. and we do accept that. So if you have any questions around that, let us know. But that's what we've been accepting previously for that. Also, a sample of the schools budget statement, absolutely. The more you can give us, the better. Can you share the grants officers' email addresses, please? Absolutely. Can we do that in the chat, or does somebody want to put that in the chat?
Could we maybe put into the link that we're going to be sending everyone?
Yeah, we'll do that after.
You know, what council areas each of us look after.
Absolutely.
Because the email, and then everyone will have it.
That's a really good idea, Sandra.
Yeah.
So basically the way it happens is that we've split it up. So you've got Sandra dealing with some groups and Anne dealing with other groups, and then you've me dealing with some other groups as well. So when the email goes out, we'll signpost you to your relevant contact there. We also had a change of personnel recently, so some of you might be a little confused. So we did have a previous grants officer called Gemma. She's now moved post. So that's why you haven't heard from Gemma. And I know some people have been trying to get in touch with her. So we've now got Anne. So this is your team, and this is your team hopefully taking you through to the end of the project. Graham, can I take a screenshot of the, yes, you can, absolutely. As long as we can see that it's the bank statement and it's a screenshot and it's evidence, then yes, that will work. We have had half the grant paid down, but no grants officer appointed to us yet. Okay, Anne-Marie, maybe an email's gone missing there or something, but we'll need to find out what area you're in, and then we can get that cleared up for you. But yeah, there will be somebody assigned to you. What about if you pay for something with your personal card to then charge back to the school account? Right. What if you pay for something with your personal card to then charge back to the school account with the grant money in it? You send a bank statement of your personal account. Both, Ruth. So what I'll need to see, what I really need to see there is, because the thing that you've paid for will detail. So if you're, I would expect if the school's paying you back, it would be in bulk. It wouldn't be for each individual thing you buy. So the answer to that would be yes. You would treat, yes, if you buy something, we would need to see your bank statement, but we would also need to see the school paying you back that money. And I would expect it would be, you know, they're not going to pay you back every single receipt. I expect it will be done in bulk. So that's why we need to be able to see specifically what you've bought, which is why we would need, you know, the evidence from you, the purchase that was made, not just a general blanket evidence. If that's confusing, do get in touch with us. But I think I maybe spoke to you about that before, but I'm happy to talk to you about it again separately if it's ringing a bell. But no, we will need to see evidence of what you've purchased. It won't be enough just to see the school paying you money.
Orla, can we accept a receipt if it shows the card, say you went to B&Q and you got a receipt and it shows the card number, and the amount, you know, the items, the date and the amount, the card number, then would we still need to see the personal account, or would the school's bank account do?
That would be fine. If it's yeah, that's fine. What Sandra's just explained there is fine. If there's evidence of the payment being made, but we would need to see what's on that. We need to see the receipt. We need to see the items that have been purchased, and wherever that comes from, I don't really mind as long as I can see it. That makes sense. If I buy the items, that's another question. That's the same question. Two Ruths asking the same question. My goodness. Ruth Betes, I hope we've answered your question as well. So there's two Ruths asking exactly the same question. Catherine, is it okay for my seeds, plants, trees to be in one invoice? Yes, it is, absolutely. So yes, you can put all your seeds, plants, trees on the one invoice. We wouldn't expect to see everything broken down individually. However, going back to procurement, if it's over £500, we would obviously need to see a second comparative quote. If we order plants over £500, we need to get different quotes. Again, Catherine McCartney, I hope that this answers your question. if you're using the same supplier, so if you're going to a supplier and ordering £1,000 worth of plants, we would need to see a comparative quote for £1,000 worth of plants from another supplier. I hope that makes sense. I submitted a receipt from B&Q, but I'm required to provide more evidence. What do I need? Okay, we'll need to look at that, Aisling, specifically. I'm not quite, I can't talk to the specifics of why you've been asked for more evidence, but I'm assuming maybe
it's probably if it doesn't show that's a card payment.
It mightn't show it's a card payment. Yeah,
there's receipt and then the bank account.
Yeah. So there must be, there's clearly something, but we can deal with that afterwards. No problem, Aisling, and clear that up for you. If I have bought a variety of items from supplier, for example, pots, window boxes, plants, fruit trees. Again, I hope, Charlene, that answers your question. Yes, you would need another quote. So basically what Charlene has asked here is if I've bought a variety of items from the same supplier and it totals over £500, yes, I would like to be seeing a second quote, because you're basically paying. So it's back to the tender thing. So if you're going to a landscaper and paying them £2,000, but they're giving you the plants, the labour and everything else, I want to see evidence that you've also got another quote from somewhere else for procurement. It doesn't matter that there's different items that the landscaper's providing you, and this is the same principle. So if you're buying from a garden centre, you know, a variety of plants, but you're also buying some boxes and trees and stuff, I would still expect to see a comparative quote from a different supplier for procurement purposes. And, you know, there is no absolute requirement for you to go with the cheapest, as long as you can justify that's why you use. And we're very big into local. We want to use local where possible. If you read the guidance, hopefully you'll have received a lot of the information about the biodiversity and the guidance on our website, the suggested supplier list on there as well. We're very keen that you work with local companies and you know, as much as possible as well. So that's equally as important as value for money in these grants as well. So don't be worrying too much about that. So just to check, if there's an overspend, then this doesn't affect the amount of funding. Yes. Denver, yes. If there's an overspend, it doesn't affect the amount of funding provided. It means more cost is borne by the school. Yes, is the answer to that. And we have that often. I mean, sometimes we didn't ask for partnership funding in this particular round, but in our previous round, we did ask for partnership funding. So this one, it was just a full maximum grant of a certain amount. And then it's entirely up to you if your project costs more than that, but we won't be able to bear the cost of that. We'll only be able to bear the cost of the value of the award that's been given. Esther, just to clarify the point about quotes for purchasing multiple individual items. I sent an email and was told, okay, Esther, we'll maybe address that afterwards. Specifically, that's quite detailed and I can't really go into it at the minute on this call. So we'll deal with that after, if that's okay. I have suppliers for benches and raised beds that my school is happy with. Do I still need to supply quotes? Will you do, Aisling, if they're over £500? Yes. So if it's through the EA, no. But if it's a supplier that you've used in the past and it's over, the value is over 500, then yes, you do need to supply an extra quote. That's the procurement terms. It doesn't matter that you've used it before. We need to see for procurement that there's been, you know, fairness and you know, addressed. Does anyone else? Sandra, do you want to take a few of these now? Maybe David Hampton.
Okay, right, David, your 10 native trees costing £2,000. Go back to your letter of offer and see how that was set out. How would you show proof of payment? You would obviously get, it's over £2,000. You'll have your two quotes from two different suppliers. You would then choose a supplier and upload the invoice, and then you would also upload the bank statement or the card receipt showing that the amount was paid. I hope that answers. But yes, people who, there will be items that are more than £500, £2,000, £3,000. But if that's reflected in your letter of offer, then upload your 2 quotes, your invoice for your chosen from whoever supplied it, and the evidence of how you paid it. Okay, Catherine. Am I right in thinking that the only items that I need a quote for are individual items over £500? Yes, anything over £500 needs quotes. My seeds, plants, trees are all on one invoice and cost more than £500 as a total. Is this okay? Well, if they're one from they're all on one invoice, it would imply that they're from one supplier. So then you'll need 2 quotes because it's over £500 in value. Okay, Catherine. Denver, email either Orla or myself, and we will see about setting something up to discuss. John, I was approved for 2 headings for different types of seed. I've purchased both from the same supplier. They are listed separately in the invoice, and the total value is below £500. Can I merge these 2 headings under one and providing evidence? Yes, put a statement in to that effect. As long as there's an explanation as to that you've amalgamated them, no problem. Ashton, I work for 2 schools and have built up a good relationship with a compost topsoil provider. I would like to use this supplier for these projects. Should I get quotes? I think Orla's already answered that. Are screenshots of prices online okay? Yes, they are. We will accept that. Obviously, I mean, you can get into your B&Q site, your Argus site, although we do prefer that you maybe get local quotations, but there will be items that you can only maybe get online. And yes, can a copy of the PowerPoint be emailed out to us possibly? That can be attached along with the link. So Catherine, so an online supplier stroke screenshots are okay to price compare if I am paying a supplier more than £500 total. None of these items are individually over £500. Yes, that's fine. Ethna, we paid our contractor in a few lump sums. Is that okay for a bank statement? So it will therefore be the same statement for a number of invoices. So long as we can see the amounts going through the bank that correspond with your invoices, Ethna, that's perfectly fine. And Keith, unfortunately, you already picked up conservation volunteers have simply listed on the invoice Pollinator's grant White Abbey Primary School an amount. Sorry, I'm giving away what school you were at. Is this an example where I need to go back and get everything listed? Absolutely, and you'll need a second quote. What have you purchased in the same supplier at different times? Do you still need quotes? If the total value is over £500, yes, Francine, I'm sorry, you do. Very difficult to get exact like for like when ordering plants, as there are different pot sizes and maturity levels. What can we do about this? If you cannot get like for like, and you're limited to one supplier, use your judgment and put a statement in to that effect so that we have an understanding as to why you can only maybe get one quote or use one supplier. This is someone from Anonymous. I priced the items originally through a few different catalogues. Items cost less than £500 from each supplier, but I've discovered a company can provide a combination of similar for less. This will cost over £500, but I still have the original quotes. So is that acceptable? Well, if you want to bulk up the original quotes and do a comparison, yes. And again, put a comment in to statements as to why you're using the supplier that you went for. And could I clarify that we put in the original price as per application, or do we put the actual price paid, which may be slightly less or more? No, you need to put in what was paid, because that's what we will see going through your bank statement or your card. And another anonymous one, if a supplier is an EA tender, do I still need to provide quotes for items over 500? I think Orla has already answered that, no. And
oh, a couple of thank yous.
Yes, thank you. Nice to be appreciated. And Denver, if there are 3 separate areas that have amounts of under £500 for one supplier. However, this supplier is proposed to be used for each area. And the total cost is almost 1,500. Are 2 quotes needed? Yes, Denver. They are. And maybe, you know, you need to discuss further when you want, you know, when you do your one-to-one. That can be discussed. So I think that's the end of the typings. Thank you very much for your questions. And we certainly seem to have covered quite a lot of ground in the queries. So if anyone else has something they want to add to my answers,
anything?
Responses.
No, not at all. If we've anything burning, now's your chance. Otherwise, we all might escape much sooner than I had anticipated. I don't mean escape. But, you know, obviously we want to assist and help. But I had intended this to run on until a little later. But obviously, if we've covered off most things, we're more than happy to let people go. What I will do, as I said to you before, is have that email out by the end of the week, and that email will include this PowerPoint, which some people have requested. I would invite the lady who had this very specific question. I couldn't see what school you were with, so I'm just going to go back up. It was very difficult for me to see who you were contacting us from. So would you email me directly? I'm trying to find it again. It was
Esther.
The one.
It was Esther.
It was quite specific, and I said that we would have to deal with it separately. So please email me directly, because I can't respond through this, and we'll try and clear that up for you as well, any confusion that you have. The PowerPoint will be coming out to you. The recording of this webinar will be coming out to you, as well as the people who couldn't attend, as well as a copy of the little video that takes you through the quick take through of the uploads, although hopefully the presentation is much more detailed and clear for you. And that will all be coming out, as I say, by Friday. I hope that has answered everything. We would really, I'll emphasize it again, get your uploads going as soon as you can. You know, as I say, quite happy for them to sit there, and then we can assess. But also, I'm sure you would like your money drawn down sooner as well. So the sooner you get your uploads on, the sooner we can release those 30% to you as well. We'd love to be doing that before Christmas, for as many of you as possible, so that we can kind of keep the momentum going. And it just means that when we get back after Christmas, because we all know how stressful it is, when you come back after the holidays, and then all of a sudden it's the middle of February. So let's try and get as much of this tied off as we can before Christmas. Sandra?
Yeah, we have one late query. We've done all of our work, therefore I bought and built the raised beds, but I'm uploading all the individual items like screws, timber, etc. Can I upload this individually, or do I need to upload as one quote? Please do not upload for single screws. If you can upload as per your grants letter of offer, it makes it much easier for ourselves. And no, we don't need to go into the minutiae, as long as we are quite clear and can compare what you're uploading to the letter of offer. That's what we're asking of you. And obviously the invoices and what have you to support that.
Fab.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I'll not bore you with my anecdotes from individual screws and items earlier in the year, because it's not required. So yes, please. If it makes sense to you, yeah, whatever you would like to see. So I think honestly, I don't see anything else coming through there. Thank you for your thank yous. That's appreciated as well. We hope that it kind of puts in one place.
We have a few more coming.
Oh, I don't see them. Where are they?
Okay. What will the date for the final inspection be, please? Ethna, we will not necessarily be inspecting every grant. Obviously, we do not have the resources. There will be random audits of the financial side, and also visits from field officers to make sure the works are done as you have claimed. And let me see, another thank you. The email sent to myself. I think my email box might be getting quite full after this. And more thank yous, saying it's informative. session, Orla, well done. And again, someone looking for a reminder of who the grants officer is. As I said earlier, we'll put all of that in the cover email, and we cover council areas. So we'll tell you who covers which council area.
And if you don't hear from us, please get in touch.
Yeah,
because it means that there's something going wrong in the ether, in the internet ether.
Yeah, and we do, as Orla said, we suspect some of the stuff's going into spam or junk. Yeah. You know, we're surprised when we contact people and say we haven't heard from you.
Great. So, the areas. Sorry, when must the areas need finished by? Oh, I get what you mean, Ethna. There's no formalized date on that, but ultimately we will be looking to do. Ultimately, we will be looking to do post-project site visits from March onwards. Okay, so we haven't put a specific date on it because we're very conscious, obviously, about the issues around planting that I discussed. But we will be, you know, we'll actually be starting to do site visits sooner than that. We'll be factoring them in from January onwards. And then that might raise that a repeat visit might be required to see how far on you are. But ultimately, post-project ones would be from March onwards. And we would expect to see, you know, nothing really running past the summer, really, but we can't put a specific date on it. But there would need to be a very, very exceptional reason as to why something runs much later than the spring, because we know that most planting, etc., can be done from March onwards. I hope that answers that up. And EA, Charlene, no. The answer to the EA question is no. You don't need to provide 2 quotes or tenders if you're using the EA.
Okay, well done. And another little thank you.
We'll give you another wee minute, and you know, yeah, and just to say good luck with your projects. We want this to be a really enjoyable experience for everyone. You know, these are such a wonderful project to have and a grant to have, and you know, the biggest benefit for us as officers at the end is when we see the outcomes and we see the benefits, not just for the school, but for, you know, the pupils and the pollinators. And, you know, I've visited so many sites after projects have ended, and you see wonderful diversity and biodiversity happening on the school grounds, and it's just so exciting. So we're delighted to be here to be able to support you to deliver this work, and we want to, you know, support you to the best of our ability and not be a barrier or stand in your way. In return, we'll ask you to really help us with the financial claim side of things and kind of do your work on that side for us. But ultimately, it's just a lovely thing, I think, for us all to be a part of. And yeah, we appreciate the work you're doing on the ground as well, because we know how busy you are, and we really look forward to seeing the outcome of some of these projects. And we will be looking for case studies and press releases, and we will be looking for sites to come and visit and have special openings for. So do keep in touch as well, because we're always looking at really good standout projects as well.
Little query from Emma. Sorry if I missed it, but is there monitoring and evaluation reports to be completed, and are they specific to individual grants?
Yeah.
Emma, there'll be the
grant completion form. There is a grant completion form, so you should have, if not by now, if you completed your pre-project form, and that was really just to give us an idea of where you were starting from, which means when you finish your project, it's where you're kind of ending up, and it gives us a sense of impact. So yes, there is a grants completion form, and it's on your profile, and you'll be able to see it there. We won't be pushing for that until February. So, you know, and even then we know how hard it is. If some of you have still got a wee bit of straggling work to do, we'll give you a little bit of leeway on the grant completion form. So don't be panicking too much about that at this stage. But yes, there will be an evaluation and a follow-up, and we'll be looking for photos as well.
Yeah. And one thing, we would encourage you to take photographs as you go. It's wonderful for us and for yourselves to have a diary as to where you started and where you ended up. And I have a little one here. from Aisling saying, I made a Google Forms to collect evidence of the school's use of the green space. Any tips for not nagging teachers to complete the forms? Well, Anne, maybe you have some tips as to how to not nag teachers. Recently, I feel as though I might have been nagging teachers. Trust me, I don't mean to. But as Orla said, we have over 300 grants, and we are trying to gently encourage you to move along.
Gently.
Come February, it might be a stronger nudge.
I think this will help today. This has been very helpful for me, even just coming in to see it, how it all comes together. It's possibly, school's a busy place, as you know, so it's good for them to know, or good for all you guys to know, that there's somebody that you can get in touch with. But
yeah. And
Not sure how else I'm not sure how else we can. There's one at the end here from Claire. Sorry for the late question. Some planters and benches on my application were unavailable. I find similar and better. Okay, Claire, yes. So that's back to what we said earlier about if you can't find a like for like, then put a statement in and upload it and say why. So basically what you've just written in your comment there, you would upload, you would add that and upload that as your statement, as to, you know, you couldn't find anybody else that would provide anything like for like. So hopefully that's clear. And get in touch with your grants officer, any one of the three of us, if you don't know which one it is specifically, and we'll you know, guide you a bit further if you need to, but hopefully that's clear that it's back to that thing about, you know, where we'll accept a reason why you've gone with a certain supplier. Okay.
And so Claire's asked for some clarification.
Yeah.
Even if it's over £500, Claire, so long as you have a signed reason as to why you couldn't get a second quote, even if it's over 500.
Has to be a clear signed reason. And you've said here that they couldn't find another supplier, so you know, we'll accept that. Oh, thanks, Keith. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. We sometimes we try and gauge what people need, and we base this on need. Really, we base this on the volume of queries that we were getting and how we could maybe best address them collectively rather than individually. So hopefully this helps. Okay. Well, look. If everybody's happy, we're getting lots of thank yous through now, so it sounds like there's nothing else burning. As I say, get in touch with any one of us. You know what we all look like now. You can track us all down. Good luck with your projects. I hope they're progressing really well, and we really are excited to see how they turn out at the other side of all of this. And as I say, we're here to assist in any way we can. So thanks again for coming, and we will be distributing this after the event. Thanks, everyone.